Okay. Welcome to another episode of the Visual Div. I'm Matt Evans, and I'm here with my co-host Ailín. How you doing, Ailín?
Good. I'm still here. I haven't been blown away. Pretty mental night last night. I don't know what it was like up in Dublin, but it was absolutely insane where I live. Like there was so context. Um, a storm named Isha just came hit Ireland last night. They called it a category red storm. It wasn't category red where I was. It was like orange, but like a mile off the coast. It was technically a category red, and I'm a mile from the coast. So it was absolutely insane. Um, yeah, just winds that I don't, maybe I've experienced them before, but I'm experiencing them more and more frequently in the last couple of years. But that was just
Yeah,
a mental night. We lost power around 8 o'clock. Came back. I was back on this morning. But yeah, just batten down the hatches, kept the dog in. Woke up this morning to a quarter of my shed roof ripped off. So it was pretty battered already. Like it was kind of loose. It was it was there's been a few storms come through and it kind of was it took its toll on it. But yeah, this morning it was just like hanging off the side of the back.
yeah. No, we heard it. It was loud, and the door to the shed of next door got ripped off. It was on its last legs anyway, but it got ripped off and nearly hit a car on the driveway, which was
Oh shit.
yeah.
Yeah.
But other than that, yeah, it was not much. We could feel it, but I remember, was it 2 years ago we were in Doolin? Must have been
Yeah,
two
which
years
is just
ago.
down the road from where I am. Yeah.
Yeah, and we'd had this was summertime, and we'd had this glorious, like, we'd been at the Kerry camping. We were camping, and we thought, oh, we'll end up in Doolin, and we'll have a couple of days there. And Doolin's a nice little village with a few fish and chip shops, and stayed in the caravan site there. And man, when the wind comes in there, it just picks everything up and
Mm.
doesn't care. And like that
No.
that was a summertime storm. Like you were
And they're
dealing with
fairly
a
tame
yeah.
compared to these winter ones. Like,
They are, yeah, they are. They're tame for you guys, But gee, like when we're here, we're all cozied up. We're going, how is the building still standing? And then you're thinking, how are they doing this over on the west coast? Because we've got land to kind of tame us. You just get whack straight from the Atlantic. It's just been building for days on end, and
oh
the
man.
first people it hits are you.
Yeah. Yeah. So like, yeah, like my house is like maybe 80, 90 meters above sea level, but there's nothing in between us. It's just a hill going down to the sea. So yeah, especially those southwesterlies come in, it just, it almost generates more speed as it's going up that hill and hitting us.
I can
Um,
just I'm just envisaging you doing like a Point Break, where you kind of like you look out the window and you
he's
turn to
not coming
Vanessa.
back.
Vanessa, yeah, off he goes.
It is pretty brutal. Like you're just honestly, like there's times there was like yesterday I wouldn't have brought Maven outside. Like it was that fucking bad. Just like and the dog goes outside, he takes a step and he actually has to like readjust because he's blown like a meter away. But it's proper like just when it's times like that you really are just you're going all beatnik, and you're going out there and like hammering shit in and putting rocks on top of stuff and making sure that everything is tied down because it's pretty wild. Yeah, there was a couple of
Well,
trees that we planted in the last year or so that had got snapped and stuff.
expensive job those new trees, eh? Yeah.
Yeah, those
um,
young trees.
but anyway, talking about storms, while you were
Nice
battering,
segue. I
yeah, I
like
know,
this.
great segue.
You're
I
getting good
just
at
ca-
this.
I just came up with that as we were talking. Yeah, there was as you were getting hit by gale force winds, there was a little bit of a storm online.
That's brilliant. That's absolutely brilliant. I like everybody to recognize how good that segue was. Yeah, so I have no idea what you're talking about because I don't know. I kind of got the shits with work and social media on Friday, and I deleted Twitter, and as you know, I took silenced all my notifications on WhatsApp, and then because there was rugby on Sunday or whatever day it was, I turned Twitter back on just to see what the crack is. So I actually don't really know what's going on. I just kind of half saw it and left.
Okay, so yeah, let's dive into it then. So on I think it was Saturday. I can't remember if it's Saturday or Friday. Let's find out now. On doesn't even have dates on these Twitters. On the 20th. So Sam Harrison, who is he's pretty well known in the Webflow community. Sam does. I think he's got a course. He's very. I think personally he's got a very balanced view. He talks about WordPress, talks about Webflow. Anyway, Sam obviously got exposed to some sort of beta test that Webflow were running, and this is around the Webflow Experts area of the site. And Sam shared what he saw, and what he saw wasn't that great, if I'm honest. So if I scroll down here now, this is a screenshot of something now that we'll go on to what happened afterwards. But the idea was that
looks like Fiverr.
You're not far wrong. You're not far wrong. So what we're looking at here, guys, if you're listening, is Sam Harrison shared a screenshot of a test or beta test that Webflow are running, and the screenshot includes what looks like an ability for Webflow experts to put together a package and sell this package to I guess prospective clients through the Webflow Experts platform. And just to help give context, so you'll be able to find it on Twitter. We'll put it in the show notes. But the idea is that you can put together a package, you can put a price against that package, and then you can put little attributes. So, for example, this one that Sam shared, it was a premium package for $99, and it had the delivery time of 7 days, unlimited revisions, 5 pages. It specifies that the client provides the design. The package includes the creation and upload of content, responsive, includes CMS, includes complex custom code and complex animations, for example. So Sam essentially put it on there, and he made a few comments like putting pricing might encourage a race to the bottom. It looks a little bit like Fiverr, or he was worried that Webflow Experts is going to turn into Fiverr, which is interesting, given your initial comment there, Ailín. And yeah, he kickstarted. It is mental. He kickstarted.
What? It's the first time I've seen. Like, I just saw like a bit of back and forth, and like, what the? So this is a $99 premium package, turnaround time in 7 days, unlimited revisions, 5 pages. And basically everything that comes with a premium high-level Webflow website.
So just to not make it misleading, because I've been involved in. I commented on the thread myself, and lots of people did, and put some really valuable comment on there. And Emily from Webflow, who runs the community team over there, she came in and tried to almost set the record straight a little bit on what this was. But in essence, the Webflow expert can set the price. So if I was putting a package together, I could say my premium price is $9,999, and that gets 5 pages and complex custom code and complex animations. But the concern, I think, generally in the community, especially from the old Twitter thing, was what it felt like it was trying to package things up in a way that I don't know, made it easy for clients or prospective clients to buy something off you. But what it did, it missed the context of what it is to be a Webflow developer and a Webflow designer, and all that skill set that comes into it that you can't encapsulate in just a pricing table. I know we've been over the unlimited subscriptions before and all the pros and cons of it, but generally they have a really tight tight scope in terms of
That's kind of why I
yeah.
was, because this is not a tight scope. Whatever, this example is not a tight scope. Um, this is weird. This is really strange. This is really, I don't get the benefit of it. I get the benefit for Webflow, and they're like, if they're targeting like lower end entry points so that they can get more hosting packages. Yeah, fine. But that's pretty rough, to be fair. That's really rough.
So I think, just to be fair to Sam obviously only had a certain amount of space to talk about the context here, and it was clarified later on that you can set your own price, you can set your own constraints. You don't have to have a delivery time of 7 days and pages. But what I think the general vibe was it was trying to boil down offerings of a Webflow expert down into these numbers, which we all know is kind of where some people have gone with this sort of unlimited subscription type of vibe, where you're putting a price and trying to market yourself in a way that puts your head above all the other experts in the room. But what it doesn't do is it's not really allowing the talent and the skill sets of the experts to shine through in a way that allows a prospect to compare like for like. Because at the end of the day, it becomes a pricing war, and I think it was mentioned further down in one of the threads. This thread has got how many? 102 likes, 57 bookmarks, 50 comments. It's pretty well engaged over the last couple of days. But it hasn't left a good taste in anyone's mouth. Now, a development here is that Emily has been involved here, and she came on over the weekend, fair play, and dived in and tried to sort of rein it back a little bit and get everyone to calm down a little bit. And obviously she was on a bit of a PR crusade, because this is pretty damaging. It has been pretty damaging in the eyes of a lot of Webflow developers. But I think we understand that this beta test has been scrapped. It's been withdrawn, and a lot of the feedback that has come through Twitter, this thread particularly, a lot of the feedback is being listened to now, and they will, kind of regroup and reassess what's going on. So but it's
mad,
it is mad, yeah.
It is mad because this. Okay, so first of all, I'm gonna just straight off the back. I'm in favor of packages, like productized kind of, starter packages. I think it's for me, it's an easy way to calculate a project and get quotes out quickly. Like if you've got a way of putting together something fairly simply, and I've done, like bundles, I suppose, or productized packages, or whatever you want to call them, similar to kind of like I've done that, and in the past. But this is weird, because this is kind of like, just if you think about the enterprise stuff that I got frustrated with, that they're providing, they're providing like enhanced capabilities and developer capabilities to enterprise level developers who are not there based off, not always are there based off of skill set, but sometimes enterprise agencies are just they're not legacy. They're other types of agencies that happened to now, sell Webflow services. So like, to become an enterprise level developer, it's about who you're working for or the client that you've got. It's not about your skill set, which I think is quite unfair. And then this now looks like a Fiverr package. So it's like they're splitting the whole skill set to as cheap as chips, Fiverr style, or absolute, 80 to 100 grand minimum entry projects that are for big agencies. And that's mental, because it's like I don't know, what would you call that? The squeeze developer in the middle or the squeeze designer in the middle? Because like I haven't seen as much thought from Webflow going into the mid-range freelancer agency. You know, there's a lot of really cool benefits for enterprise. That, I don't know, man, that's left a bad taste in my mouth. Like this is a pretty raw reaction, but that's fucking bullshit. You
No,
know?
like I think you're encapsulating what a lot of people felt. I think to if we wind back a little bit, obviously there's been a little bit of a murmuring around the place, probably for the last, I would say, even before the Webflow Conf, is Webflow Experts has been dying a slow death. It used to be this sort of, you want to be certified and you want to get onto the program because you get these leads coming through. And then a few people did a few polls and, anecdotal, Q&As. There aren't any leads coming through. Some people are getting leads, some people aren't getting leads. But the general vibe was it wasn't really working for people. And you can kind of understand why, because if you go on Webflow Experts, there's no real way to sort of choose between different experts. It's basically a catalog of people. And it doesn't allow you, there's no review systems or anything like that, which means that it's not really a marketplace in the traditional sense of, if you go on to Amazon, if you go on to all the retail stuff, marketplaces have reviews and testimonials. Like if you go on to Contra even, and I know Contra's not great for Webflow, but the idea is that they're trying to foster this sort of feedback loop where the really good people get rewarded and get the leads, but the people looking for those people are able to see, oh, here's a 5-star rated freelancer or professional. Oh, and here's not so 5-star rated or a 3-star.
Yeah, but I don't think that that's what the Webflow experts should be. The Webflow experts should be curated experts verified by Webflow. They shouldn't have to be like subject to 4 or 5-star reviews or a pissed off client giving you a 1-star review. Like there's other infrastructure out there for that. Like the whole point of it, like the Shopify expert system is incredibly hard to get into now. You can't get into it. They filled it and then they closed it. And now it's a really convoluted, difficult thing to get into because Shopify are like, well, these experts are handpicked, curated by us. We're not letting anybody in here. And like that in itself should be the benchmark. It's the fact that Webflow has set standards and then these developers have passed those standards. Now you're going to get a really high quality result as a client. And you can't get a high quality result and a cheap price. You can get one or the other. You can get cheap work.
Well, let's address that first, because I think touching on your point about enterprise is that the perception maybe, and I can't really speak that much about this because I don't actually know the ins and outs of how you get onto the enterprise.
Their information is you need 5 staff, of which I believe all have to be experts, and you have to have 1 enterprise level client.
Okay, so that
I don't know
that
how
kind
you
of
get that. I don't know how you do that.
And again, that has no reference to skill set, as you said.
No, like I could go out and hire 5 people, train them up, get them to go, focus on getting them to pass the experts. I actually was contacted by agencies in the past. Hey, can you help us get through this? We want to become a Webflow expert. And I was like, you're nothing. You're just seeing an opportunity, and you're hired. They were trying to. The offer was that I would get them to become Webflow experts. Then I was like, okay.
This is interesting. But this is really interesting because that suggests that there's like you're saying, there's a hole in the system, and you can gamify it a little bit. You can play the game and get through, and off you go, and the riches are the other side. Now, the Webflow experts the thing you had to do was you had to pass these certificates, and then you had to apply. And then certain times during the year, they let in a group of people, group of professionals. But the fact is, as you've like alluded to there, it's actually not too hard to pass those tests if you want to go ahead and pass them. I've tried them a few times, 2 or 3 years ago, and I got close to passing them. I failed on a couple of things because I spent 5 minutes doing them. I clicked the button. I thought, I'll do this. Clicked the button, went through it. But if you did it 3 or 4 times, you'll get through it, no problem. But what it means is the standard of Webflow Experts isn't vetted at all, as you're alluding to. So the only way that Webflow Experts is going to work is if Webflow vet the experts. And if they do that, they need to really put a bit more effort into, and maybe it's not in their interest to do this, I don't know, put a bit more effort into vetting or putting in tests or criteria that allow them to vet skill sets rather than, say, for example, with the enterprise, number of people or the type of client you have. There are so many people out there who probably are super skilled, who could use Webflow and really deliver amazing experiences for their client, yet they are not Webflow experts. And then there are people who have opened Webflow 2 weeks ago and have just revised and passed these tests and now are Webflow experts.
Well, like we can't really say like that is a potential. I don't know of that case.
No,
what I'm
that's
saying.
A potential. But I guess
so just
what
to
we're
clarify,
seeing is,
like I don't know of anybody that has done that, but I do know of there's definitely been a few Webflow companies that have been acquired, like Webflow freelancers or that sold their business to bigger agencies to have, the Webflow expert status, and then the individual who was the expert has moved on. So it's just like they've bought that
badge.
expert status. They bought the badge. Yeah, it's whatever. That's fucking market forces or whatever. But I suppose
I think
that isn't guaranteeing the standard.
No, and I think there's two ways. Say we were to say, okay, what would be the best model for Webflow experts? And like you did say, it's the middle ground. Like, let's forget about enterprise for a minute. Different kettle of fish. Let's talk about yourself, myself. Quite a lot of the community members out there who are part of maybe 1, 2, 3 person studios, and are just kind of leaning into what Webflow allows you to do, which is build awesome stuff really quickly where you are. Like I can build a 50 page website in the same way that maybe 5 years ago only agencies with 10 staff were ever getting on that sort of pitch for that kind of business, because Webflow enables you to do that. So what would be the best way to, I don't know, separate the professionals, Webflow experts, from the just doing it because they can pass a few exams kind of people? Because we know that it's not just, I know how the UI works or I know all the ins and outs of Webflow. It's all about what goes on behind that. Like, how do you do design properly? How do you do handovers properly? How do you do follow-ups, Q&As, SEO? Like, there's a world of expertise there that cannot ever be encompassed by one, taking multiple choice certificate exams online that you can do every time of the day, but 2, can never really be like packaged up in a package. At least in my opinion, you can't commoditize a lot of the expertise that floats around there. And what we're talking about here is giving clients the ability to put their energy in the right place when they're trying to select a partner. Because at the end of the day, clients are going out there, and I've had it before. I've had clients, the way that I've been selected is because I've put the love and attention into the response for the pitch. I've sent them a loom. I've sent them some ideas. I've sent them a pitch that kind of listens to what their brief is, and they can hear me, they can see me, they can see my work, they can see how I go about approaching things in a 5-minute loom. That would set me aside from seeing a package that says you know, a package that says $5,000 versus $4,000, and mine says $5,000 for 4 pages, and someone else says $4,000 for 5 pages. It's like, well, the client doesn't give them anything to go on there. All it is a pricing, and it's like that's not helping the client. It's not helping us. It's just a recipe for disaster.
Well, that's kind of why I was like, geez, that and it looked exactly like Fiverr. To be fair, that tree package setup. But so what, in my opinion, what Webflow should do is So like I keep saying I get design envy. When I work with a designer, I'm just like, this is so fucking cool what these guys are able to come up with. And there's so many amazing designs out there in Webflow. And there's less, if you compare the amount of amazing design work out there comparing to the amount of really, really good CSS and HTML work out there, the design work is way outweighing the quality of HTML and CSS development in Webflow. How many times have you been given a project where you're just like, I'm not touching this unless we start again, because the class system that they've used is just like automated Webflow classes on repeat. Like it's just there's. So if I was to, if the Webflow experts team were talking to me, I'd be like, we need to focus on HTML and CSS because, yeah, like Webflow can be seen as a drag and drop builder, and there's tools out there that is making it way easier to use Webflow, which I love. I think it's great. The more people on board, the better. But the standard of HTML and CSS has to be high. And it has to be high because there's traditional developers out there that are looking at Webflow developers, traditional front-end developers, and just like, this is a bullshit tool. This is a toy. And whereas I don't think so. I think this is a really, what did Webbay call it? He called it a HTML and CSS UI interface, something like that. I'm paraphrasing, but he's right. It's this ability to create HTML and CSS visually, and like you can export it, you can bring stuff into it, but it's this new way of writing HTML and CSS. And if that standard is low, then what is the point? What is the point in Webflow if that standard is low? So that's what I would suggest, is that ensuring that, first of all, that people understand basic CSS and HTML and semantic HTML for one, like, and then maybe verifying that they have a particular skill set in a particular framework. I don't know, or maybe Webflow should create their own fucking framework instead of having third parties create frameworks. And then, like, ensuring that people know about the hidden CSS. Like, you can't learn unless you inspect Webflow yourself. Where can you learn about the hidden CSS? And like, when people are talking about, they're probably listening to me going, what the fuck is the hidden CSS? Inspect a Webflow element, and there's a class called w-something. The quintessential one is w-container. That is the reason why there is a 992 pixels embedded into a container with auto left and auto right. And if you put class of container on that, and you modify it, but then put class of container on another div, it's not going to react the same unless you have overridden the auto left and right. It's such a simple example. And the amount of times that I've seen someone get a project that someone has obviously built on like a very small laptop screen, and then you're looking at it and something is completely aligned to the left of screen on 250 plus or 1250 plus pixels, because they didn't understand that a container has to have auto left and right. And like, I'm going for very particular examples here, but that is the type of stuff that traditional code front-end coders will just be like, these guys they're not up to the races. And like, with the direction that a lot of Webflow is going, like the stuff that the guys in Wiz are doing, like, it's like they're building React standard apps. Like, it's insane what they're able to do. And the way, member stack is going and Outseta is going, it's like this functionality of no code or low code is being brought to a completely new level, a level probably that Webflow didn't expect. But that's the direction we're going. And it's not that the ship has sailed. We're already there. It's not even going that direction. We're that direction. There are SaaS products. Didn't Reloom start as a member stack SaaS? And now it's got like, what, 150,000 users? Like, that's insane. And like, if you don't have the standard of HTML and CSS as like the top 1%, it's like, it's a car crash waiting to happen, in my opinion.
Well,
so
I think
that would be my take.
No, I think you have to say, okay, the front end developer world is so rich with opinion, expertise, people pushing the envelope every day. I listen to quite a few front end podcasts, and some of the stuff they're doing, and they're bringing in all the new spec that comes in, they talk about it and debate it, and like the level of is so high. Now they're doing a lot of the bleeding edge stuff that then feeds back into the Webflow world and allows us to do what we do. Webflow has come to the party and said, look, hey, we're not going to live in that world per se. We're going to live in a bit more of a world that's nearer the designer interactions. But what's happened is, and it's a hard, maybe they didn't expect it, but the hard balance is, when they're talking about development, they still have to respect the rules of the game and come to the party with the standards. And what Webflow Experts does at the moment, unfortunately, is put one badge on one thing that doesn't allow anyone to, it's like I don't know. I guess we had it in the UK. Like back in the day, there would be one person from a family would go to university, and everyone would rally behind that person, and because their mindset and their academic ability would be such that they were the person to go to university, and 10% of families went to university. Wind on to my generation, and it was almost, if you didn't go to university, you were seen as a bit of a failure. But the problem is roll on, 10 years from that, and if you haven't got a degree, you're seen as useless and unemployable. So everyone has to have a degree now, and now no one is. It's like wallpaper. Whereas before, it's like you have a degree, you are academic. If you don't, you're not, and you go into different roles. It's the same with Webflow Experts now. It's like if everyone is a Webflow expert, no one is a Webflow expert, because everyone's, and they have to start putting in these standards as you like, whether it's on this HTML, CSS, which is that little bit more technical. They need to start putting in those standards so clients can feel more comfortable with making an informed choice. At the moment, they're not able to make an informed choice. And obviously this is a beta test that they've rolled out here, and it's been withdrawn, and I think they've probably realized that they got it very wrong. But
it got beaten.
It got beaten down by the crowd.
The mob.
The mob came out at the weekend. They lucky it didn't break on a Monday. Lucky Sam shared it at the weekend, because it would have spread like wildfire, even more so. But the thing is, hopefully they take this away and go, guys, we need to talk to the people who are building these things and running a living off these things. There's a numerous amount of courses coming out in the next couple of days about how to be a freelancer and how to be a good designer and how to use Spline. Like, there's so much knowledge sharing out there to level up everyone's game that Webflow needs to start maybe listening and going, how can we help people shine in their various aspects of the skills that they have, and not give everyone this label of you're a Webflow expert, and then give them a tool that says you're defined by the package that you offer in our marketplace, because it's just not doing anyone any justice at all. Like, people don't need to invest. Like, Reloom is unbelievably a great tool, but before you know it, you could just say, hey, I'll build you a site, and you don't know anything about HTML, don't anything about CSS, and you come in and you just use a library like Reloom, put it all together, boom, 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 off you go. It's just
there's no problem with that. Like,
no, there isn't, but there needs to be acknowledged that that's not the 10 out of 10 expertise that
the
someone
thing
can
is
look
with
for.
any of these things, it's not a problem until it is. So you can go and build a Reloom a website using Reloom. And like I've used Reloom tons, especially for like prototyping and making wireframes. But I very rarely build a final like production ready website or product with it because it's built by someone else. And if I don't know what someone else has built, how do you debug it? And it's, even though it should be of a standard, but I've come across like animations and stuff that, why is this working like this? Why is it not working like this? What? And you're trying to figure it out. And they've, some people do animations in slightly different ways or target different elements or a different class. And unless you know what's going on in a build, when something fucks up, how the fuck do you debug it? Like everything is fine until there's no problem. But when there's a problem, when there's a bug, that's when you need to know HTML and CSS.
I think what we're talking about here is giving the client the ability to distinguish between people who will know and people who won't know. Because at the end of the day, everyone has a budget, and there should be that match between a budget and requirements with the skill set that you need. Like, you don't need to employ someone who can build you a house when all you need is a shed. And I'm not saying Reloom is a shed. Reloom, you can build that house. But if you want to build a hospital, you need to bring in different types of experts. So they need to consider all sorts of different things. So I think the Webflow experts or any marketplace, it's the same with Contra, it's the same with that. They need to somehow work out a way to distinguish the skill sets in what is seen as this sort of one skill kind of, I'm a Webflower. Well, what does that mean? Like, I'm a runner. Well, Usain Bolt is a runner, but he's vastly different skill set to my running ability. It's like, that's the problem that they've got to solve. And I just think it doesn't get solved by lumping a price or a variety of prices on it. I think it comes with, and it comes with everything. Whenever I do a pitch, whenever I'm talking to someone, I initially get an impression off the client. They get an impression off me. I get an impression off a designer that I'm working with on the kind of, do I want to work with these people? But also, do I think they're capable of working on this kind of project with me? And that's, unfortunately, you can't shortcut that. You can't cut that with numbers and star ratings and, it's the whole CV thing. Remember back in the day, there was this craze about, I'm a 5 out of 10 on Photoshop, but I'm a 7 out of 10 with CSS. And
yeah.
And it just doesn't, after a while, everyone's doing it. It doesn't allow anyone to make any decisions.
But there's also, there's a bit of a disconnect between, like, if they're, like, I'm only going to use this term because some people use it, but a race to the bottom. Like, Webflow set the standard of what we as developers and designers should be selling our products for by having one of the most expensive hosting packages out there. They have set that standard themselves. They've also increased the hosting prices. And there's been many a YouTube video and blog on how to sell Webflow hosting because it's so bloody expensive relative to other hosting packages. And like, if they want, there's a massive disconnect between what you're selling, what you're hosting, and then a cheap price. Like, I'm just going by that $99 thing. Like, if you want to have cheaper people sell things for cheaper, then hosting has to be cheaper. Like, a proper blog hosting has to be cheaper. Like, there has to be stuff coming in at like $9 a month, not what is it, $30 a month minimum for a CMS based website. Like, that doesn't make sense to me. Expensive, high quality hosting that you're encouraging people to sell, but then you're encouraging them to sell a cheap product or cheap end result. Now, just going by that tweet, that's kind of what that is suggesting to me, and that's weird. It's disconnected. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, to be fair, I think again, the context is lost in that screenshot, but I think the idea would be,
like, I'm reacting to that screenshot, and I take on that there was clarification of it, but still, like, it's first time seeing this. I'm not seeing this on Friday. I'm having the reaction that everybody else. And it's like, if Webflow hosting is pricey, but then you're trying, what was one of those things was $299? It's like 10%. Hosting is 10% of that a month. Webflow would be getting more money out throughout the whole year than the developer would have for that product. Like, it's fucking bonkers.
Yeah, when you put it like that, that's, they should at least be a lower limit on that kind
Jeez,
of.
Imagine if they put it out and it was like 9999, like minimum entry. Oh man, Webflow wants the experts to be on like 20 grand projects. We'd be like, yes, please. Oh, Webflow, the experts, bro, can't sign me up. Sign me up.
Well, no, but
fickle.
we are. Of course, we're fickle. That's but it does, like, this isn't a segue, but it, like, as you were speaking there about the numbers, it's going. Pricing parity is obviously a thing with products, and thankfully, it's becoming a bigger thing with products. Is that we all live in different parts of the world with different ability to earn. Now, even with the ability for someone to live in, let's say, live in the Philippines, where cost of living is lower, but the income potential for local jobs is like super low, like ridiculously low compared to, say, in Ireland. But from a Webflow perspective, the skill set that Matt, who lives in the Philippines, is versus Matt, who lives in Ireland, can be identical. Mm-hmm. Matt from the Philippines can be much, much better than Matt from Dublin. So pricing parity at the other end is like going, okay, well, 99, say it costs $5,000 for me. $5,000 for me is maybe, like, let's say my mortgage, let's say 2 months mortgage. Yeah. I'm living in a nice house with 2 months, even in Dublin, that's not too bad. But in the Philippines, that's a year's mortgage. Mm-hmm. So there's a trick to be had with the pricing parity there that means that it's not, again, putting price at the center of it is just doing everyone a disservice, because it's not.
You can't be doing that if you're charging people. What is it? Is it $480 a year just to use Webflow at the higher end?
I know but that's on one side. It's like, if there was pricing parity on that side as well, then that would kind of null and void that, I think. But the thing is it's all about that potential, is going, what 999 is, let's call it $5,000, because 999 is a bit misleading. $5,000 is different to different people in different places, but it should be up to an individual to make that judgment call. And I know we can put a package in there, but the like-for-like packages isn't work. It's not going to work. It's not going to showcase the skill set of the person or the people behind that package. But there's so many things wrong with it. Like, obviously it's kickstarted. This isn't, to be honest, I don't think this is the fundamental thing that's wrong with Webflow Experts. I think what you alluded to before, which was, people can take a few certificates and become a Webflow expert, or they can staff up and get a client and they become an enterprise. That's actually what's wrong with the Webflow Experts. And it's probably why leads don't come in, because now clients don't even trust it. Like, clients don't trust the system to give them quality. And that's why they need to revamp it. And if we are talking about, yes, we pay Webflow to use the tool. I don't mind that. We pay Webflow to host our sites, to allow us to market ourselves. So we pay Webflow. What did we work out a couple of months ago? Like, we were paying like $1,000, bit more, maybe a year.
€1,500 a year,
50, yeah. And that is
dollars
a year, Canadian dollars, American dollars, Canadian dollars,
American dollars.
We were doing that. We're doing that just to get to the start line. So they have to work hard to give us something back, because the tool is brilliant, and we all love the tool, and we're paying them because the tool allows us to do what we do, and we might not be able to do it otherwise. But they also, if they really want to help us and help themselves and keep us around for the long term, is they need to invest in really understanding what allows a client to decide what partner to go with, and then put in place a platform to allow us to do that. And then it's up to us to fill that in. It's up to us to make our own portfolios and make it readable, understandable, animate, show off our skills. But if Webflow want to do it, they need to put in stuff that isn't price related or directly price related, and allow us to show off our skills in a way. Personally, I think video is and maybe I'm biased because although I'm a relatively shy person in the whole grand scheme of things, I'm not considered to be an introvert. But I would be a fan of sticking 3 videos on my Webflow Experts, and those 3 videos would be me talking through projects that I've done or certain challenges that I've done related to Webflow Experts in a way that a potential client could sit there and, they've got their 2 hours in their week that they need to kind of look at this stuff, and they can go through these videos and actually get a vibe for who they can shortlist and do it that way, rather than, me putting a package up and then you putting a package up. At the end of the day, they could be identical packages. There's no, it's not helping the end client at the end of the day. The fact that you've worked with Apple and I've worked with Deal, they might not have heard of Deal. So then Apple, you get the gig, but it doesn't, it's all smoke and mirrors. But anyway.
It really just depends. If Webflow want, what are they, 1% of the global market of websites at the moment, which is pretty insane. But the easiest way to get more people hosting websites is sell cheaper websites. That's it. So I don't know what their market is, what their target is. But yeah, it's just interesting that's kind of really taken me aback. That was very strange. And it just is, I'll go back to my original point. And I could be completely misguided on this with this thought, but that to me looks like they're thinking about the lower end of the market and they're thinking about the higher end of the market, and they're not thinking about the end of the market that I'm in, I suppose, and that most of us are residing in. That's very unfortunate. Because the chat at the Webflow Conf in London was about community and developers and the designers, and how people have how the community of Webflow users has helped evolve the company and helped sell the company. Because it's like I've sold Webflow to my clients. I've had clients come who needed Webflow, but I've also sold Webflow as the correct CMS and the correct tool to clients. And there was a lot of positive chat about that at the conference. And then there was a lot of positive chat, or positive in my opinion, because of the direction of the marketing language. It completely flipped from designer focused to developer focused. And that in my opinion was a step in the right direction. But to be fair, what are we, 5 months since the Webflow Conf? And we've had a kerfuffle about enterprise getting better shit to do development with. What is the staging and type stuff, or the versioning? Branching and versioning. That's gone to enterprise only. And now the lower end, this looks like they're looking at stuff to bring in people who would purchase websites at the lower end. That's a bit shit, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think,
and correct me if I'm wrong. If I missed something that has been really focused on, the mid-range, high-quality design. There's more agencies and freelancers and contractors around our level, financial level, than there are in enterprise. And I don't know of anything that's come in that's been really we've all gone, wow, that's class.
I think that's interesting. So I'll preface what I'm going to say with Emily heads up the community aspect of Webflow, and she has reached out. She reached out to me in the DMs. I won't reveal. It wasn't anything sensitive, but I won't say what she told me, because she kind of gave me a little bit more context in why the test was run and how it ran. But I don't think I'm at liberty to say what exactly what she said there. But I think she's reached out to other people in the community. I think that's really great, and I think the community aspect of it is thriving, and in fact is driving, as you said at the Webflow Conf. There is an acknowledgement that community does a lot of work because we're their users, we're their super users, and we shout from the rooftops about Webflow all day long. Even when some people come in and shit on the shit bits of Webflow, we somehow find a way to defend it in an elegant way, and
not even defend it. People have figured out workarounds of any of the limitations. Like there's products out there to enhance Webflow. Instead of saying, "Oh, this is limited in this way," let's solve it.
Yeah,
let's figure out how we can use it.
But I think what I'm getting at here, or where I'm leading to, is that the community aspect and also the level of acknowledgement from the internals of Webflow about community I think is pretty strong. What jumped out at me this last couple of days with that post is that yes, we are in this Twitter bubble and there's life outside Twitter. But there were quite a few who's who of Twitter, well respected people who've spoken at the conference, people who very well ingrained in the community of Webflow. No one mentioned that Webflow had spoken to them about this. No one mentioned that Webflow had reached out and gone, "Hey, should we jump on a call with Ailín and speak to him about how he would like to improve Webflow Experts? Or what has he got out of it? What about if we put this? What do they think?" Beta testing through A/B testing live is obviously is a one method of doing it. But when you've got such a passionate, tight, giving community, you would think that the community team at Webflow and the product marketing team at Webflow would kind of share resources a little bit and go, "Hey, should we get a little focus group on this? And should we go and reach out to head of a few studios in London and a few agencies in New York and and do this in a way which allowed real feedback to come real firsthand, rather than risk something like this happening and it just going out and them experimenting with, oh, someone clicked on this 5 times, therefore it works. Someone didn't click on this one, so it doesn't work, And I think that's what's really a little bit shocking, because it suggests that maybe their product research elements a little bit out of touch with actually how we use the tool. I've been on an enterprise level where they've done that. I've been on a call with enterprise because I was at an enterprise level agency. We had access to product teams, and they quizzed us and allowed us to give feedback. And anyone who knows anyone who's in this world knows that we love giving feedback. It's like, as you said, we give feedback, we build tools that get around the limitations. That's the developer world is all about making stuff. We want to make stuff and do it. We don't sit in our office and just complain all day about the stuff that doesn't happen. We try and do stuff that makes it happen. And it's just, maybe they need to take a learning and go, guys, just reach out a little bit more proactively to the people who were at the Webflow conference and ask them, what would you like? Get them in rooms, get them in little groups of 2, 3, 4, 5 people, and actually critique this stuff in a way which maybe it'll take a bit longer, but maybe in 3 or 4 months' time, the product that comes out from them will be 80% agreed on before it even gets out there, because they've already spoken to the people who are going to use it,
Yeah, and there's just on that, there's 2 things I'm going to say. Beta testing something like that, we all fucking know that putting up 3 prices and having pricing packages are going to work. We all know that. Fiverr, Upwork, they all use it. Why the fuck do they need to test that? If it's not, there's a different motive for doing that. It's not an A/B test. We all know that shit works because we all use it. It's a very simple playbook. But even there, the fact that you, as a part of an enterprise agency, was involved in some product development chat, but you, as one of the most evangelical Webflow people on the planet, post enterprise agency life, has found out about this stuff secondhand and has not been brought into discussions. That again is showing me that there's the rich are getting richer, there's a squeezed middle, and they're targeting a lower end of the market. And that's just my hunch, and that sucks. That, Matt Evans with an Webflow agency is different to Matt Evans out on his own. That fucking sucks. It's not right.
Okay,
that's what my read on that.
It does suck. You're right. It does suck because there are a lot more of me than there are of enterprise agencies. There are a lot more who do what I do and feed back into the ecosystem like I do. And we are sometimes critical, but we do it. I believe a lot of us do it. Most of us do it out of the goodness of our heart because we want to help improve the tool that we use that helps us. But you're right. It's a bit baffling. It's a bit baffling how that and for something like this to come out, it's a bit of a warning sign that, like, where are the checks and balances for something like this to even enter the real world? Like, as you said, there's A/B tests. There's, stick it out there, build in public, all that kind of stuff that is all well and good. But this has been quite offensive and kind of got people going, whoa, wait, who's even signing off on this stuff, And I know, behind the scenes, I'm sure there are lots of chat and hopefully Webflow are kind of taking this feedback on board. But it would be, I think, really good if they could come out with a bit more of a statement of intent by, as you said, going out and speaking to people.
Well, this was never a part of the Webflow conference. They never mentioned this at the Webflow conference.
No, that's true.
Fucking mental. They never mentioned this at the Webflow conference. It sneaks out accidentally that they're beta testing it, but DevLink is still in production. That slots hasn't happened. The AI tool hasn't happened. Like, what the... getting a bit animated here. There's still there's still legacy stuff inside and custom attributes that you can't use certain attribute tags because it's baked into the original product that you can't use them. It's so just weird. I don't know what's going on. It's annoyed me. It's great way to start Monday. But it's there's.
Oh, Ailín, I feel sorry for you. You switched off Twitter purposely. Because
to get away from this shit.
Ailín left me a voice note on WhatsApp saying, "Hey, just to let you know, I've taken Twitter off my phone. I just want to disengage from all that stuff over the weekend. Like family time. I've had a hard week at work. Da 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 da." And then I reel him in on Monday, and I go, "Hey, come on, come back."
Elon Musk will love me. I'm just going to go on there and just rage tweet for the next 4 hours. And everybody be like, that's so last Friday.
And everyone now is going, Ailín is the man who laughs, smiles and cries while he's angry. Like, I think that's
slightly different tackles.
Anyway, I think that's an hour of
kerfuffling.
Of kerfuffling. I think it's positive. I think some positive notes there. Webflow, if you're listening, just get out and talk to people. Don't bother A/B testing stuff anymore. Just A/B test with real people. And if you're a Webflower, I think this let's not overreact to this. Let's make sure that our voice is heard. And if you've got some feedback, give it in a constructive manner. And hopefully Webflow do listen. So hopefully they'll listen.
Yeah, but
and
also even maybe don't overreact, but don't be silent either. Don't let this, because I'm just thinking back. This is not the first thing that I have experienced in the last 5 months that I felt that they're not taking us seriously and they're not thinking about the majority of us. So that again, it sucks. It fucking sucks. Unfortunately. So
anyway,
I'll sign off on that.
Yeah, we'll leave it at that. So yeah, until next week. We won't be doing another kerfuffle this week unless something else comes out.
I can't handle another kerfuffle. I can't.
We okay. On that note, bye.
Good luck. Bye. Bye. Bye.